Introduction. My name is Deed. I am 26 years old. My boyfriend is John. We have been together for 2 years. John is a tall and charming man. He always has good ideas. One weekend, John told me about a plan. "Let's go camping in the forest," he said. He wanted it to be just us. "No phones, no work, no city life," he added. I love nature very much, so I said yes quickly. I was happy for the trip. We drove for many hours. The city slowly disappeared behind us. Tall trees started to appear everywhere. The road became small and quiet. The forest around us was very calm. It felt almost too quiet, a little strange. We went deeper into this remote place. We finally arrived at an open area near a lake. The air smelled fresh, like pine trees. Birds sang in the branches above. The sun was bright. Everything seemed perfect and peaceful. This was exactly the quiet place I wanted. We set up our camp. We put up our tent, made a fire, and cooked dinner. We ate under the evening sky. The night was dark, but our fire made it warm. That night, John seemed different. He was distracted. He looked at his watch often. He also kept looking at the dark trees around our tent. He seemed a little nervous. I asked him, "Is something wrong, John?" He just smiled. He said, "Nothing is wrong, Deed. Tonight will be a very special night for us." He did not say more. I did not understand his words about a special night, but I felt a strange energy around us. It was a quiet feeling. It was like something was waiting for us in this remote forest. I did not know what it was. This feeling stayed with me as I tried to sleep. The forest outside was very dark and silent. Too, a strange sound. The next morning, I woke up early. The air was cool and fresh. A thick mist covered the tall trees. I walked slowly towards the lake to wash my face. The ground was wet. The forest felt very quiet. Then I heard something strange. It was a whisper. The sound came from deep within the trees. It was a woman's voice. The voice was soft, but I heard the words clearly. "Help me," it said. "Help me." I stopped. My heart beat faster. No one else was around. I looked, but saw only trees and mist. I turned to go back to our tent. John was standing there. He looked angry. "Why are you there?" he shouted. "Do not go into the forest alone." I felt scared by his anger. I told him about the whisper. I explained that I heard a woman's voice and the words it said. John's face changed. He did not look surprised, but he looked very nervous. His eyes moved quickly. "There is nothing here," he said fast. "You heard the wind." It was just the wind, but I knew it was not the wind. I was sure I heard a voice. The sound was real. John did not want to talk more. He just turned and walked back to the tent. I followed him, still thinking about the strange whisper. Later that day, John seemed more worried. He did not want to leave the tent area. He said we should stay close to our camp. He did not want to go for a walk. He just sat by the fire. As evening came, John started to drink a lot. He drank many beers. He did not talk much. He just looked into the fire or into the dark trees. It was like he was trying to forget something or hide from something. I felt uneasy. The forest felt different now. It was not as peaceful as before. The strange sound stayed in my mind. I wondered if I would hear it again. 3. The secret box. On the second day of our trip, John told me he needed to collect more wood for the fire. He said he would be gone for a little while. I decided to stay at the campsite. The sun was warm, and I enjoyed the quiet of the forest. I walked around near our tent, looking at the tall trees and the small flowers on the ground. Then I saw something strange. Under a big tree just behind our tent, there was a metal box. It was old and half buried in the dirt. I used my hands to dig around it. The box was heavy. It had a lock on it, very old and rusty. There were many scratches all over the metal. I looked closer. On the top of the lid, someone had scratched a name, Myra. I felt curious. Who was Myra? Why was her box buried here? I waited for John to come back, holding the box in my hands. After about 30 minutes, John returned with a big armful of wood. He saw the box in my hands, and his face changed immediately. It went very pale, and his eyes looked wide with fear. "Where did you find this?" he asked, his voice loud and angry. He sounded like he was shouting, which was very unusual for him. I told him I found it behind the tent, under the tree. He dropped the wood and quickly grabbed the box from my hands. He moved so fast that it surprised me. Without another word, John walked quickly to his car. He opened the trunk and threw the metal box inside. Then he closed the trunk with a loud sound. "Don't touch it again," he warned me, his voice still full of anger. I felt confused and a little hurt. John had never spoken to me like that before. His reaction was very strong, much too strong for an old, locked box. That evening, John did not talk much. He seemed very quiet and distant. I tried to ask him about Myra. "Who is Myra, John?" I asked softly. He just turned his head away from me and did not answer. He avoided my eyes. I could not understand what was happening. Why was he acting this way? Why was the box such a secret? I could not sleep that night. My mind was full of questions. The image of the old metal box and the name Myra stayed in my thoughts. As the night grew darker, I heard the whisper again. It came from the forest, the same woman's voice. This time, it sounded much closer, almost right outside our tent. It made my heart beat very fast. 4. A man in the forest. Deed felt very confused and worried. She needed to think alone. In the afternoon, she decided to take a short walk away from the tent. She followed a narrow path into the trees. The forest was quiet and the air was cool. She walked slowly, trying to clear her mind. Suddenly, Deed saw a man. He seemed to appear from nowhere. He was older, perhaps 40 or 50 years old. He wore a dirty jacket and a dark cap. His eyes were cold and serious. He stood still and watched Deed as she walked closer. "You shouldn't be here," the man said. His voice was deep. "This forest keeps many secrets. People who look too closely sometimes disappear." Deed felt scared. She tried to turn away, but the man took a step closer. "Did he tell you why he brought you to this place?" he asked. "What do you mean?" Deed asked him. She did not understand his strange words. The man gave a short, bitter laugh. "John is not the person you think he is," he said, his eyes still on Deed's face. Before Deed could ask more, John suddenly appeared. He ran through the trees very quickly. He pushed the man hard with his hands. "Stay away from her," John shouted loudly at the man. John's face was red with anger. The older man did not say anything else. He just looked at John for a moment. Then he quickly turned and walked deeper into the thick trees. He disappeared from sight in a few seconds. John turned to Deed. He tried to smile, but it looked fake. "He is just a crazy local man," John explained quickly. "He often bothers people who come here for camping. Don't worry about him." But Deed did not believe John. She looked into his eyes. She could see a strong fear there. And she knew John knew this man. He was not just a stranger. Her worries grew bigger. The forest felt more dangerous now. 5. A stormy night. The sky grew dark fast. Heavy clouds moved over the tall trees. A big storm began. Strong winds blew, making the trees move wildly. Then loud thunder shook the ground. The tent trembled. Rain started to fall hard on the tent, making a loud noise. Inside, I tried to sleep, but the storm was too strong. The air felt cold. Sounds of wind and rain were everywhere. It was a scary night. I woke up suddenly. The storm was still loud. Rain hit the tent. I reached out my hand. John was not there. The space beside me was empty. I sat up quickly. My heart beat fast. Where was he? I looked around. John's sleeping bag was open. His car keys were gone. He had left the tent in the middle of the stormy night. I felt fear. I quickly put on my shoes and jacket. I opened the tent flap. The forest outside was very dark. The wind pushed me back. Rain poured down, wetting my face. "John," I shouted. My voice was lost in the storm. I could not see anything. Then, far away, I saw a small light. It was a flashlight beam. It moved between the trees, deep in the forest. I knew it must be John. I had to follow him. I walked carefully, stepping over wet branches and rocks. The ground was slippery. The light moved further away, but I kept going. The rain made it hard to see. Each step was difficult. Finally, I came to a small clearing. I saw John. He was near a big rock, digging in the wet earth. The metal box with Myra written on it was on the ground next to him. He was trying to bury it again. "John," I screamed. He stopped digging. He jumped like someone caught doing wrong. His body was tense. He turned to me, his face pale. He looked scared. "You weren't supposed to see this," he said. His voice was shaking, full of worry. His eyes showed deep fear. I wanted to ask him many questions, but I could not speak. Before I could say anything, a hand grabbed me from behind. It was strong and cold. The person covered my mouth. It was the stranger I had met earlier. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. John saw us. He started to run towards me, but it was too late. Everything went black. I felt myself falling. 6. The sad story. I opened my eyes slowly. My head hurt. I was in a small wooden hut, not our tent. My hands were tied behind my back. The stranger sat in front of me, watching with a serious face. "Do you want to know the truth?" he asked quietly. I nodded, filled with cold fear. He began a sad story. 10 years ago, he started, my sister Myra came to this forest. She was with her boyfriend, John. They were going to marry. He was her fiancé. They camped here like you and John. He looked at me. Myra disappeared. No one saw her again. Police searched but found no body. After Myra disappeared, John left this town quickly. I stayed here, waiting for 10 years, knowing he would return. He pointed to Myra's box. That box belonged to Myra. Inside are her letters and ring and other evidence. I believe John killed her. He buried her body in this forest, wanting to hide the truth. My mind raced. John's strange actions, the whispers, the secret box. Everything suddenly made terrible sense. It was a shocking truth. My heart felt heavy. Suddenly, the hut door broke open. John stood there, a knife in his hand. His eyes showed fear and anger. He ran to me and quickly cut my ropes. "Run, Deed," he shouted. "Run now." The stranger stood up fast. He moved towards John. "You will not hurt her," he yelled. John and the stranger began to fight violently. They hit and pushed. I did not wait. I ran out of the hut. The storm was still strong. Rain fell heavily. I ran into the dark, wet forest as fast as I could. 7, running away. I ran fast into the dark, rainy forest. Tree branches hit my face and arms. I could hear sounds behind me. 2 men were following me. One was John, my boyfriend. The other was Myra's brother. One wanted to keep me safe. The other wanted revenge on John. The ground was wet and muddy. I slipped many times but kept running. The wind blew hard. The rain fell even harder. I could hear their shouts, but I could not understand the words. My heart beat very fast. I felt scared and confused. I did not know who to trust. Soon, I saw the lake. Its dark water looked wild in the storm. I stopped at the edge. The 2 men were close behind me. They came out of the trees. The brother looked very angry. John looked sad and tired. "He killed her," the brother yelled loudly. His voice was full of pain. "It was an accident. I tried to save her," John shouted back. His face was wet from the rain and tears. The 2 men started to fight again. They pushed each other. They fell into the wet mud. They hit each other with their hands and feet. It was a terrible fight. I watched them, frozen in fear. During the fight, the old metal box fell from John's hand. It landed on the ground with a thud. The lock was broken. The lid opened. Something shiny rolled out of the box. It was a ring. Myra's ring. I quickly picked up the ring. It was small and golden. I looked at John. His eyes were full of guilt. He stopped fighting for a moment. He looked at me, then at the ring in my hand. He finally spoke, his voice shaking. Myra slipped into the lake that night. 10 years ago. It was dark. The water was cold. I tried to help her, but I couldn't. He took a deep breath. I didn't kill her, Deed, but I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I buried the box. I hid everything. I lied to everyone for a long time. The brother tried to grab John again, but suddenly a very bright light filled the forest. A loud sound, like thunder, crashed near us. Lightning hit a tall tree close to the lake. The tree broke and fell down with a huge noise. It landed between John and Myra's brother. This was my chance. I did not think, I just ran. I jumped into the cold, dark water of the lake. I swam away from the fighting, the storm, and the terrible secrets. I swam until I could not see them anymore. 8, the last day. I woke up at dawn on the lake shore. I was wet and cold. My body hurt. The forest was very quiet now. No more storm. I looked around. I was alone. John and Myra's brother were gone. I felt a strange mix of fear and relief. The air was fresh. I sat up slowly. My head felt heavy. I touched a small cut on my arm. I stood up. My legs were weak. I walked back to our campsite. The tent was broken, lying on the ground. Our things were scattered. It looked like a fight had happened. No one was there now. John's car was also gone. Only Myra's metal box was left on the ground, still open. The small ring was inside. I picked it up. It felt heavy. This was the end of everything. I knew I needed help. I could not stay there. I started walking, following the path to the lake. It was a long walk. My feet hurt. After a long time, I saw a small road. I kept walking until I saw a house. It was an old house. I knocked on the door. An old woman opened it. She looked surprised. My clothes were dirty, my face scratched. I asked her to call the police. The police came quickly. I told them everything. It was hard to speak. I told them about John, Myra, the brother, and the box. I gave them Myra's ring and the letters. The police listened carefully. They went to the forest. They searched near the big rock where John was digging. After some time, they found something. They found Myra's remains. It was true. John had buried her there 10 years ago. John never came back. No one saw him again. Some said he drowned in the lake during the storm. Others said he ran away, far from the forest, far from the truth. The brother also disappeared. Maybe he went to find John. Maybe he found peace. I do not know. The police asked many questions. It was a long day. Finally, I left the forest. I did not look back. I had come to the forest with John. I left it alone. The forest had taught me a hard lesson. It had changed me forever. I carried a scar on my arm and a story in my heart. A story that was hard to believe.